Hi, my name is Natalia, and I would like to welcome you to the first episode of the Talks in the Park podcast series about responsible production and consumption. Let me introduce you to our guests, Mania, Bartek, David, and Max.
So hello, my name is Mania. I'm the PPSA School of Trainers training coordinator and also a soft skill trainer. And thank you, Natalia, for inviting me to this podcast.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bartek, PPSA trainer from Poland. And thank you very much, Natalia, for the invitation to this podcast.
Hello, I'm Max Woolley. I'm an EBSA trainer from Germany.
Okay, hello. Thank you, Natalia, for inviting me to this podcast. My name is David, and I'm also an EBSA trainer as Max.
We would like to talk about soft skills and responsible consumption and production in regarding of this topic. So maybe I will ask a question, and you guys are going to answer it. And first question is, what are soft skills?
Okay, I think I'm going to answer this one. In order to talk about soft skills, we first need to talk about hard skills. Hard skills are usually what we learn at school or what we learn in university. So these are more technical abilities that we gain through our studies that are easily measurable and that qualify us for a job. For example, if I want to be a pharmacist, then I have to know knowledge about pharmacy. So soft skills are skills that are more social, interactive skills, methodological skills that are about communication, your ability to work in a team, problem solving. So things that are not easily measured, that are not easily taught by reading about them in a book and learn about them. Those are skills you have to practice, that you have to individually train and work on in order to get better.
Thank you. How can you train your soft skills?
So when it comes to training soft skills, I have my own recipe of how to do that. So it consists of 4 steps. First one is research. So you basically look for any information that can be useful in a certain area. Let's say I picked networking and I would like to be better at it. So I try to search for different books about this topic or websites, and basically this is the research part. Then the design of the exercise. I try to think what will be the perfect and most effective way to gain the skill of networking as soon as possible. Basing on my research, then I design this exercise, and then I come to the third step, which is discussing the idea with my friends, especially the ones that specialize in this area. And so let's say I can talk to Mania, to David, or to Max about the research that I did and the design of my exercise from networking. Then finally, after discussing, I come to the 4th step, which is practice. It would be nothing useful from only theory if I wouldn't put it into practice. So let's say I designed a schedule of writing to one person on LinkedIn and networking with him or her once a week. Then after I do it, I can once again discuss it with my friends and also refresh my research about that and make it more better with my own experience, notes from my own experience. This is not the only way to exercise and to work on your soft skills. You can do it the other way around. You can start with the experience and then analyze it, reflect with your friends, and then go to the theory and try to upgrade your own performance.
So now is a question for Maya. Is creativity the key to finding more economical use of materials?
Well, I believe that the key to finding more economical use of the materials is primarily to recognize the problem. Because firstly, we have to be aware of an issue that we're facing. And in order to consciously take an action and to use those materials in a more sustainable way, we have to be aware of what we are going through. And then the creativity plays a big role in this. Because when we realize, firstly, how to approach the problem, then we can actually approach it in so many different ways. With the creative approach, we can firstly understand better the ways of what we are using and why are we using this, and answer the question if we really, for example, need to use that much paper. Then we can also think how we can use technology on our advantage, because maybe we don't really need to use Post-its anymore. We can use Slido or Google Forms. And with the creative approach, the possibilities are actually endless, but we have to be aware of what we are doing and why are we doing this in the first place.
Is it actually true that a very large amount of materials, example given flip charts, notebooks, paper is consumed and sometimes wasted during soft skills training?
Yes, I think you can say that it's true that there is a large amount of materials used in a training event. For example, if you attend a training event that goes not just a few hours, but maybe like a day or 2 days or even longer than that, you will see that in the end there will be a lot of paper and a lot of paper waste, flip charts, moderation cards, sticky notes, and all that stuff. I do think that using this much materials is a sign that the trainers care, because the trainer tries to create a perfect learning environment for trainees, and for that he needs to use some tools and he needs to create an environment, a learning path. And often flip charts, big papers, bright colors are used in order to do that, and because to visualize things. A big disadvantage of this process could be that some trainers try to do a perfect flip chart or a perfect visualization, and then they try on a flip chart and it doesn't work out, and then they try again and throw the other one away. So this is waste. It's just not just now talking sweet talking about this topic. But yeah, so in the end we have a lot of waste, which can sometimes be used multiple times if what is on the flip charts are just a plain theory that can be used in another training. But sometimes the flip chart is designed in a certain way to fit the session and to fit the topic and theme of the session. So the trainers don't use it again and throw it away.
Is there a way to use them to a lesser extent or extend their useful life?
Well, the answer is naturally yes, there is a way to use them to a lesser extent, but we have to remain mindful that the way we use flip charts in a session has become part of our, let's say, training culture. And the participants that are going to the session are expecting this. They are expecting that they're going to come and play around with flip charts and do a lot of drawings and see a lot of drawings and gather a lot of ideas on them as well. So I believe, and I have to agree with Manya, that the possibilities we have with technology are endless. And I really hope to see this shift in minds of trainers, that we're going to use our visuals in a way that's more smarter than prettier, because the visuals that we use are supposed to serve a purpose and not just look pretty on the wall. So I really hope that we will look for new opportunities, new ways to support our story and the narrative we're trying to transmit to our participants, and that we're going to use more technology and we're going to be more sustainable.
Do you actually guys think that this whole situation with COVID-19 is kind of a turning point for soft skills trainers? That we have to somehow adjust to making trainings online, not in person, how it usually is?
Actually, we did. We did take that opportunity, and I must say that it is not that big of a difference to prepare a training online. It is at the beginning, and it seems scary, but after some time, it creates a lot of opportunities, both for trainers and participants. And I believe that right now, when we had this opportunity to try it, and we are not that afraid of this anymore, we can actually make a change and take this change with us to our training practices after this whole situation.
So did you guys take any kind of opportunity from this situation? Did you try to create training that is fully online?
Honestly speaking, right now, I think we've got one of the best opportunities to work on our sustainability plan and to make a transition from normal to online learning, because right now there is a lot of potential audiences for online training, online teaching, and it wouldn't be for so long, hopefully. But yeah, if not now, I think it would be very impossible to do it in the future in normal environment. And so I think we should definitely work on it as hard as possible right now to have the right conclusions after the whole situation with the virus resolved.
And do you as trainers see any bright sides of lockdown and all the situation with coronavirus outbreak?
Yeah, and since I'm always an optimist, then I will tell you about the best thing that comes from this experience. And for me, it is that sometimes when the environment changes, you have a terrible situation, you can always look for the new opportunities that usually appear while it happens. And that was exactly what we did. Instead of thinking about all those great events that we have missed, we sat down for 2 days and just thought, what new opportunities can we name? And then it was, of course, online trainings. People will be bored and we will have a lot of attendees. And it was great that we wouldn't have done it if it weren't for this situation. And for me, it is great that now I have the great outcome. I have a new skill of managing the online trainings, and I wouldn't have if it wasn't for the COVID.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for participating in our podcast, and see you guys next time.